I can tell you about the German perspective on that kind of almost mercantile diplomacy. It's shocking because Germans spend a lot of time building deals. For instance, the Iran nuclear deal. It's like a house of cards. It takes years, even decades, to build trust, to bring people to the table. And then the Trump administration, or maybe just Jared Kushner, says, look, we'll give you that. You give us this, as if he were in the souk and, buying a carpet. And it's shocking. And I think the question, I feel pretty comfortable thinking that is being asked at the federal foreign ministry here is this: can this be reversed? Can the Biden administration reverse the recognition of what Trump has just done in the last hours, of its administration? Because it really, really makes things very complicated. It goes against history. It doesn't recognize the expectations of many of the players. It seems to just sort of satisfy some immediate short-term needs of Trump and his entourage. And the State Department, people here know full well, are against, what has been decided. So it's essentially confusing. When you read about it in the German press, people don't know what to make of it. Obviously, Germans are in favor of anything that is helpful to Israel. If Israel has peaceful neighbors, Germany, because of its past, is happy about that. But they also like multilateralism. They also like diplomacy. They also like a lot of parties around the table deciding on one thing, and not just the White House saying, here, you take this, we'll give you that, as if you were in a Trump casino. I don't know how to say it otherwise.
Paul Taylor, let me ask you about this, because that question of can this be reversed, when you have a President-elect Joe Biden who so far has said that he'll be going along with the Abraham Accords, as that normalization of ties with Arab states is known, can Joe Biden reverse this?
I think that Joe Biden can reverse a certain number of things, and there's nothing terribly formal about what's being done. As I see it, it's just a verbal words, as they say in the south of France. The Americans saying, "Well, now it's an incredible deal. If you make nice with my best friend, I'll recognize that you own somebody else's yard." Well, wait a minute. And so I think that Biden could reverse that. I also think that the State Department under a Biden administration could revert to the previous legal position that the Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank are a violation of international law. Look, the problem is, Trump has undoubtedly been a great friend to Israel, and particularly a great friend to Benjamin Netanyahu. But what he's done is to broker agreements, basically to build a coalition against Iran of the conservative Arab monarchies and Israel. And that's something which has some uses, perhaps diplomatically, but it doesn't solve the central problem for Israel, which is how are they going to make peace with their immediate neighbors, the people with whom they're actually in conflict. They weren't in conflict with Morocco. They weren't in conflict with the United Arab Emirates. I think Sudan once sent a couple of soldiers to fight against them. But, fundamentally, the Israeli-Palestinian situation is the nub of this. And Israel will only really enjoy peace if it makes peace with the Palestinians. Otherwise, it will constantly be in conflict, and it will have the choice between either being a Jewish democratic state next to a Palestinian state, or else being a Jewish state that continues to occupy or control parts of territory but deprives those people of democratic rights within the state. So that's not a solution.